Hello and welcome to another episode of Backstage Pass. Thank you for joining us today for our monthly look at all things behind the scenes on the Microsoft and Dynamics side of things. So I'm your host, Eric Newell, and I'm excited to be joined by Maggie Foster. Maggie is our Chief Services Officer here at Stoneridge Software. And in her capacity, she leads all of what we call delivery. So all of our implementation teams, our support teams, so it's her team's job to make sure that our clients get what they are looking for and get a great outcome working with our team. So she and I kind of grew up together, I like to call it, in the dynamic space. So we both started at Great Plains Software. She started in June of '99, and I started in October of the same year. So it's always interesting, like how we approach client situations are like very similar. It's like, well, because we grew up together kind of in this space. So it's fun to share that with Maggie, and she has been here now for 8 years. So we are very fortunate to have her join us after her career at Microsoft, where she very quickly moved up from a support engineer to a manager and then led really large teams across that group in the escalation space, including in Exchange and Outlook. So it's kind of a little different than all the dynamics that we do as well. And then her last role is really managing change and program management across a 6,500 person support organization. So she knows a few things about change management as well too. So with that, I'd like to invite Maggie to join me on stage here. Hey, Maggie.
Hi, Eric.
Welcome to Backstage Pass. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the teams that you lead here at Stoneridge?
Yeah, you did a good job describing it, but like Eric said, I lead the teams that deliver everything we deliver here, from implementation across our ERP products to CRM, to the stack technologies as well with Azure Data AI. And we do that for both implementing first projects through multiple phases. We're seeing a lot of clients now that are doing a phased approach where they're getting kind of maybe their core ERP and then adding onto that, adding CE onto that. So we do all of that work. And I'm really proud of the support team that we've built here as well. And so as clients are live with their products, we're always here to help them with what's coming, if they have issues, etc. So the team is made up of about 150 consultants, and we have a subcontractor network as well that we use. And really, I categorize our consultants. We have functional consultants that are really good at business analysis and the products and marrying those two things together. We have developers who can do anything. So if the product doesn't do it, they can help you make it do what it needs to do. And then we've also got a lot of technical consultants that are more, I always say they're kind of the unsung heroes. They're the infrastructure people. They make sure that you stay up to date. They make sure that your systems are humming. They're really the ones that be the kind of the magic behind some of what happens as well. So super proud of the delivery team we here at Stoneridge that we've built over the years.
Great. Yeah, it's a great team, and we're fortunate to get to work with them every day. Before we jump into the meat of the topic today around Inner Circle and Partner Advisory Council, I'd love to ask all of my guests on Backstage Pass about some of their favorite concerts or that they've ever attended. Do you have a favorite concert that you want to share?
Yeah, so as I thought about this, I would not consider myself like a music aficionado, but I have a deep appreciation for the shared experience that is music. So my list of kind of favorite concerts go hand in hand with the people I was with. So when my daughters were younger, like pretty young, we took them to the Taylor Swift Red Tour, which
Hmm?
was amazing. I mean, it was fun, but it was really fun to see them experience that. That was their first
Yeah,
concert.
yeah.
It was fun. My husband, we just a couple years ago went to Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's one of his favorite bands. It was fun, and they still got it. I was impressed with how they did. And then my mom and my sisters went to Tina Turner many
Hmm.
years ago, which was a
Hmm.
really good time. But one of my favorite all-time concerts is me and some of my oldest friends went to Red Rock in Colorado and saw a
Oh,
band
yeah.
Midland, which is a country band, but that setting and with those people was just an amazing experience. So I love the shared experience of music and it bringing people together.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard great things about Red Rocks. I'd love to go there sometime. That sounds really cool.
It's cool. We spent the afternoon in Golden, Colorado, and then I mean it
Oh,
was a
yeah.
really cool day.
Nice.
Hmm.
Well, that's cool. Well, what we wanted to talk about today is the Inner Circle Experience and Partner Advisory Council, and so I thought I would take a minute to explain what that all is before we jump into questions. So, Microsoft sells nearly all of their business application software through partners, and they really see partners as like their distribution arm to make sure that clients can get excited about buying their software, but also so that they have a successful implementation and a good long-term support experience. So what I appreciate about Microsoft is they do really take time to connect with their partners and ask for feedback. And that's really what Partner Advisory Council and Inner Circle are all about. So I went to Partner Advisory Council about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago now. It's an invite only group. They actually have Partner Advisory Council across all the different kind of stack technologies at Microsoft. So there were 375 people there, but there's just 20 in the business application space. So it's great to get that time and to have, they say, here's what we're planning to do. And we can say, oh, that's going to work with clients or that's not going to work with clients. So it's really good to get that insight into what they're working on and how things will fit with you as clients. And then Inner Circle has actually been around for about 30 years. It started back in the Great Plains days as this time for the software vendor and the partners to get and the top partners to get together. So we were one of 92 partners globally that got to participate in Inner Circle this year, which was just a week and a half ago. And it's an opportunity throughout the year to participate in biweekly calls, but then there's a summit that happens, and that's where we get to go. And we can only have 2 people attend, and no matter how large of a company that you are. So Maggie and I attended this year, and I thought, since it's Maggie's first year attending, I'd ask you a few questions about what you thought it was like, and how was your first ever experience there?
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely at Inner Circle just kind of a buzz in the air of excitement. So there was a lot of exciting just information from Microsoft, but then also the ability to network with both Microsoft people, but also other partners to kind of really understand what they're hearing from clients, some of the challenges that they're facing. Um, and just that connection and that networking, there's real sense of community around it and just getting, I think, generally excited about Microsoft. One of the biggest takeaways, I think you're going to ask me this, but one of the biggest takeaways for me too was there is a lot coming with AI, and it's really exciting. But having the opportunity to kind of sit and absorb all of that, Microsoft has really done a fabulous job getting us ready for that. So if I think about, coming back and talking to the team on things like AI and security and them saying, well, that's why we do MFA and that's why we have document security. And some of those things I think that Microsoft has really been thoughtful about to get us ready for this amazing thing called AI. It was kind of cool to kind of see it all come together along with here's what's coming, here's what's exciting. Here's the art of the possibility really showed up there a lot.
Yeah, I know one of the things you said is that, well, now you know why Eric always comes back really fired up with all sorts of new ideas after Inner Circle.
Yeah, yeah, because you see things and you're like, whoa, I want that. Whoa, I could see our client using this. And so it does get you very energized and excited about technology.
Yeah, and I always send out all these emails after, well, these are things we have to be doing now, and which I'm sure the team is like, wait, hold on, what is this thing that you just heard about?
Mhm.
That's part of the fun. One of the stats that they shared in the keynote I thought was really interesting. They said, and this is from like a McKinsey study, but the 88% of the organizations that are using AI today in some shape or form, but only 7% are getting ROI out of it. And I thought, what's your take on that? Is that kind of what we're hearing from clients, or what you're seeing from the delivery team as well as they talk to the clients?
Yeah, I mean, when that stat came up, it definitely resonated of like, yeah, that it feels like though we're on the cusp of that changing to be
Mm-hmm.
more about the ROI. What we're seeing is a lot of clients using things like Copilot, meeting summaries, documentation, like they're getting better and more efficient at their work. But haven't really applied like agents and things like that in a way to get transformative ROI out of it, but it's coming. So I think it's important to, one of the other takeaways I had is I think we've got to think about that. What's the ROI you're trying to get? What is your baseline, measurement for that? One of the partners that was there shared, some of what they've done organizationally and how they measured it was really, and this is pretty generic, but are we able to do more with less? And really, they were able to produce more revenue with the same amount of people. And I thought that was an interesting, really smart way to think about ROI. But yeah, that's what we're seeing internally as well as with some of our clients. I think are a little bit more on the leading edge with getting closer to ROI. But they're really kind of more even in M365 and those types of technologies where it's just making their jobs easier right now. But I think we're, like I said, getting there to the ROI part.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty realistic to what I've seen as well too. I think in order to get to some of the exciting action-based stuff in AI, you kind of have to start by just asking questions and getting comfortable with going, oh, I don't need to Google search anymore. I need to use AI. And oh, I'm getting better results. Okay, well now what more can I do? And now, how can this apply to my business in certain ways too? So it's definitely a journey, and I always encourage clients, get started on that journey sooner rather than later, because it's a train that's moving awfully fast.
Yeah, I think too, the other thing, they talked a lot about this too, and this is what we're seeing. There's the technology component of it, but there's also the people element of it and the change management of how people work. I mean, it's really, I think, allowing people to think more about how could I approach this task or this work. But that's change, and so being thoughtful about that and how you're rolling that out is important as well.
Yeah, one of the things I thought was interesting is Charles Lamanna, who leads business applications and Copilot, talked about like 2025 was like the year of answers, where you could ask questions and now you'd get answers. And
Mhm.
2026 is really about action, and now you can start to use it to take some action. And I've been playing around with it a lot, but what were some of the ways you saw them like showing off some of this new like action oriented capability?
I mean, Cowork is huge, which I know you're going to talk about. It's Eric's favorite thing, I think, in the whole world. No, I don't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cowork is definitely one. The one that I was the most impressed with was I sat in a session on contact center. And it
Yeah.
was more the kind of the voice, like someone that was a salesperson and she was in her car and she was saying, I just had this meeting and I talked to this person and had a conversation back and forth. And it basically said, okay, I'm going to go update your CRM system now with this new contact. I'm going to enter this detail so that you have notes on it. So just a lot of kind of cool things like that where AI is able to make like decisions and go do things for you generally, but that one was really cool, the co-work session or the contact center session.
Yeah, I think there's just a ton of opportunity in contact center, being able to take in questions ahead of time. And so I bought, of course, a new robotic mower because I have to have all the robots. But and I couldn't get it to work, and it was my own dumb fault. But like the only option to be able to get support was to send off an email. And I think I waited like 9 days for a response, to tell me what it was. And it's like, if they'd have just had like an updated knowledge base with some AI capability, I could have gone on, chatted with it, got my answer,
Mhm.
and got to robo mowing much faster. And it would have saved them a bunch of time, because the mistake I was making was a dumb, like, I just didn't know what I was doing kind of mistake. Like, I didn't even need to talk to somebody. So I think as people think about like what they want to do from a external communication standpoint, like there's a lot you can do faster, and then you can kind of reserve the complicated questions for your team. And then you can even like set your team up with knowledge base articles that are relevant to it. So when they do get the question, they can move even faster.
Yeah. And I think too, for me, Eric, even hearing you talk about that, one of the things I know we've been doing internally is doing a better job of documenting what's in our brains, so that
Mm-hmm.
things like contact center and knowledge, like we can find that and then produce that result. With AI for our clients. And so we've been concentrating on that now for about 6 months. And I think we're going to start to see that as part of the ROI, right? We took the time to kind of write down, hey, this is what resolved this issue in this case before. Now we'll be able to discover that and serve it up to our clients. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we're going to expose some of that in our client portal here too, as we get more results that like this worked for us to solve cases in the past. So now you all can experience it, and hopefully that saves you time the next time you run into that particular issue, because it's hard to take the time to write up a knowledge base about every
mhm.
particular thing that we've seen. But as we resolve a case, we write up, this is what resolved that case. So if we can get that knowledge out there, hopefully that'll help all of you be able to get answers more quickly too.
Yeah, and Copilot takes away some of those, they call them no joy tasks, and writing case notes is probably a no joy task for some of our support consultants. But the Copilot now can summarize things, right? It can look through the correspondence with the client and summarize it for you. So it makes that easier too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I don't think any of them get particularly joy about writing a couple paragraph recap of that. So for sure.
Mhm.
So there's one of these that kind of relates to that conversation too, but Microsoft talked about a lot about what they call their first party agents. But for normal people, that would be like the agents built into Dynamics 365 F&O, Business Central, and CRM. But and I know we've started talking to our clients about these. Are there any of them that are particularly exciting to you, or that our clients have been talking about wanting to use?
Yeah, I think so. I'll go back to that no joy comment. Like I think, particularly in the ERP space, a lot of what we're seeing with the first party agents are some of those tasks like bank reconciliation, AP automation, some things with inventory and invoicing. So we are building that into, anytime we demo, we're showing clients that so they know that that's out there and possible. Our consultants too are thinking about it as it'll just kind of be part of implementation. And it sounds, I mean, they're exciting, but it's still bank rec at the end of the day.
Hmm.
But those, and kind of what we're hearing from clients too, is that those are the right areas for Microsoft to be focused on, because those are tasks that in an ERP in particular, typically every company is doing bank reconciliation and those types of things. So those are the right things. They would like to see it even more kind of automated, and it'll get there. So now it feels a little bit like there's a couple more clicks, because they want the human in the loop. They want you to like, yep, that's right. Take that action. So that's what we're hearing from a lot of our clients. They're excited about it. They're excited to start using it, and we're starting to implement it.
Yeah, I went and visited a few clients in Dallas last week, and I talked to them about the account reconciliation agent, and I talked to Andrew, our controller, here about it too. And it's like, Well, it's just a painstaking task today of looking
Right.
at all your subledger entries and matching them to your bank and other entries, and like, why not, have a tool that helps you get that done faster. So there are some of them
Mhm.
that it feels like a no-brainer to at least try out, and even if it saves you a little bit of time, now you've got more time back to do other things.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I wanted to jump into our Copilot tip, but also if anyone has questions for Maggie or I, please drop that into the chat. We're definitely out there watching it as we go through. So, but my co-pilot tip of the month is around Cowork, as Maggie said, my favorite thing. And I actually even titled it like these are my two favorite things, like Dynamics and Cowork working together. So the capability just released a couple weeks ago, and so that's why I want to get a blog and a LinkedIn post out there. But so definitely check that out if you haven't looked at it already. But I'm getting a ton of value out of it. In fact, I'm like running something in the background now, which is taking our daily opportunities and comparing them to what they were yesterday versus today and what those changes are. But one of the things I use it for is like one of the things we've been thinking about for a while is like, how do we get a report that like helps us prepare for a client conversation? So when like Maggie and I are getting brought in to talk to a client, it's like, how can we look at all the things that they're doing, from here's the opportunities, here's the projects, here's the support cases, here's what licenses they have, but also things like what's their account balance with us. And so now with that, you can actually turn on the connector to CRM and the ERP. So I could just write one query, which I outlined there in the blog, and it pulled all of that information back for me in one view. So instead of going and bugging the team to say, hey, I got to go talk to this client, what do I need to know to be ready for this conversation? I can actually do all that research with like one 3 line piece of human language that I ask. So that's amazing. One of the things that we're looking for now too is talk to us about your use cases, and we can help show you how this can really light up some things that you haven't done before. So I encourage you to check that out. Now, as we wrap things up, and again, feel free to post any questions that you have, but we are launching our Modern Agriculture Technology Day. So will be our first time of doing this. We've done Modern Manufacturing Summit for the past several years, but now we've got a Modern Agriculture Technology Day. So you can click on the link there to get registered for that as well too. But that is on June 24th. And so it'll be a chance for us to kind of give practical examples about how you can use this technology to get more out of your agriculture business. So I'll be getting it kicked off with a keynote in the morning and talking a little bit about how businesses are taking advantage of AI and this new capability to get even more out of it. And then we'll wrap up with an industry expert, Dr. Matt Roberts, who will talk about how to survive and thrive in ag in this volatile world that I'm sure everyone's experiencing. So that will be a great opportunity to showcase too more of what we've been deploying at Stoneridge and some of the new leverage capability as well. And then to wrap things up today, I wanted to just share an update on Backstage Pass. So after today's session, we're actually going to be moving to a monthly podcast style format. So the same conversations and insights, same guests, kind of caliber of guests on from Microsoft, our clients, other ISVs, other Stoneridge folks, but we'll be moving it to a podcast style. So if you're like me and you like to listen to podcasts in the car, or while working out, you'll be able to tune in whenever it works for you and get that information. So we'll continue to have episodes on the third Tuesday of each month, but trying to make them available on more platforms as well too, so you can get them in other places. And then you can follow along and listen to future episodes and revisit past conversations that way as well. So I'm looking forward to that change and having it out on, maybe Spotify or other places as well too. We'll see what Magic Breed can do for us there. So that's all we wanted to cover today. If there's any questions, just taking a quick look. I don't see any. But yeah, thanks a lot to Maggie for joining, and it was great to be with her down at Inner Circle and kind of see what all the fuss is about of being at those conferences where you get a chance to talk to so many Microsoft experts and hear directly from them. It's always super fun for me, so it's great to have Maggie along as well this time. All right, with that, I think I will go ahead and wrap up. I don't see any questions. So thanks for joining, and thanks for joining these live sessions, and look forward to the podcast version here coming soon. Thanks, everyone.